Are you curious what a 1949 meal would be like, including this delicious skillet pie? Join me for a full look at everything today. Check out this delicious spread. Yum! Oh, look at that skillet pie after 15 minutes in the oven. So yummy. Ooh, yummy gumbo. It's been simmering a long time. All right, let's get ready to make our chicken gumbo. So I'm making just half a recipe here, so it's not such a large recipe. I just have 4 chicken drumsticks that I put salt and pepper on and dredged in flour. And we're gonna heat up this oil and kind of fry these on both sides and then drain some of the oil off before we go on to our next step. So I will be right back while this oil is heating, and I'll show you the process of heating up these yummy chicken drumsticks. I'll be right back. Now we're browning the chicken in this nice hot oil, and it says to definitely brown it on both sides, but not cook it all the way through. So we're gonna get a nice color on the outside, and this is why I have tongs. I'm going to be removing these and setting them to the side before we move on to cooking the delicious ham in here. This is a really different gumbo. It's not the seafood kind, so it's chicken and ham, which is really different. Let me know if you've ever had this kind of gumbo. I will be back when these are all browned and lovely, and we'll check out the next steps to this delicious gumbo. So now the chicken is nice and brown. I'm gonna turn this off just for a second so that I can remove the chicken. And then see if we have too much oil. If we have too much, we'll pour some off. Other than that, we are going to be searing the ham in the same pot. So this is what the chicken looks like. Yum. It's going to go back in the pot later on. But I don't think, well, yeah, there's a little bit of oil. So I'm going to pour that off. And we'll leave just a little bit in there. And then we're gonna put this delicious ham in here. I just got a small 8-ounce package that was already chopped up because I am making, sorry about that, kind of a half recipe here. So we're just gonna brown this quickly. Sorry for the steam. And then we're going to set it aside with the chicken, and then I'll be right back with the next step. Now I removed the ham. I did end up turning off the heat and making sure it cooled down a little bit. There is a little bit of browning going on in this pan, but it will be okay. We're gonna put 1 chopped green pepper in here. We're going to be sauteing that with 1 chopped large onion. And again, I'm having this recipe because it served 12 people, and that's a bit much. So it may be even less than half, but I calculated it more or less at half. So let me know in the comments down below if you love gumbo or southern food. It's one of my absolute favorites. I just love the layers of flavor, and I'm really looking forward to trying this. So what we want to do here is saute these veggies until they get nice and soft. And then we're going to go on to making kind of a, it says a gravy, more kind of a roux/gravy. So we'll be back in a moment to go on to that step. So now we have, I added a little bit of extra oil to the pan, and there's a few onion bits. But I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of flour to this. We're going to make kind of a gravy and brown this, but we don't want to burn it. There will be some bits that we're bringing up from the bottom of the pan, but that's totally fine. And we're going to stir this around a little bit and brown it. And then I'm going to put a cup of water in there and thicken it up to a bit of a gravy. And then we're going to be adding that to the meat and then getting the rest of the ingredients in here for a long simmering session. That sounds really relaxing, a simmering session. Kind of like a spa for all the ingredients, which sounds lovely. Let me know if you love to make soups or things that take a while on the stove while you do other things, or crock pot things. All of those are quite nice. So I'm going to give this a little while and come back in a moment so that we can complete the next step. I wanted to show you, I ended up adding a little extra flour because this was a little thin, and it's browning and thickening up quite well. I added some of the dredging flour here. I thought that was a good use of that extra flour. So this is looking like a beautiful color. Let's go ahead and add that water to that. And we're going to be making up a little bit of gravy. I'll turn the temperature down. Yeah, that's looking really nice. So I'm actually going to take this off the heat, add it to the meat, and then we'll move on. Oops, I realized that I was not actually recording when I put all the rest of the ingredients in here. So I added the chicken and ham back in here. I have about a cup of lima beans. I put the onions, peppers, and garlic back in. I have a can of tomatoes. I have some thyme and some gumbo filet powder, some pepper, some kosher salt, parsley, bay leaf. If I forgot anything, it's down in the description below, but you can see how yummy this is. Oh, and the lima beans and the okra, I think I mentioned those. So I apologize for that, but I'm going to grab some water and then give you another view before we start simmering. So I'm going to add a quart of water. I'm probably going to add one more quart of water to really cover this. And we want to simmer this on a low temperature for 4 to 5 hours so that all the flavors meld. I want to show you how yummy this looks. Look at all those yummy ingredients. And then we're going to be breaking down the chicken after it's fully cooked in there. So, ooh, look at those flavors. It's so good. So we will be back. And we're going to be moving on to our apple pie, since that takes a while in the oven, and then the corn pones. So stay tuned for all of that, plus the table setting, the cookbook, and all the goodies. So I will see you there. Let's get our soup pot lid on and we'll let that simmer and chill out. So we're gonna get ready to make our yummy apple charlotte or southern skillet pie. So we're gonna start with the dough, and I just have 2 cups of all-purpose flour in here, and I have my tiny whisk. My other one is in the wash. A tablespoon of sugar, 1/8 teaspoon salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, which kind of is an interesting addition, I would say. How many of you like to make pies? What kind of pie is your favorite? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know. I have a hard time deciding. So we just whisked these dry ingredients together. Now we're gonna put a 1/2 cup of cubed cold butter in there. And it says you can use a fork or something to incorporate this in, but I like to use my fingers and kind of squish the butter like this. And you can zone out and be relaxed while you do this. I always sort of daydream when I'm making this sort of dough. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you make pies, if you make your own crust. I used to have a pie company called Cherry Pies for a couple of years, and I did so many pies. A lot of people got my name confused with cherry pies. And I did do those while those were in season if I could get the right cherries, but oftentimes you can't get the sour cherries. My parents do have some in their orchard, and they've had a couple really good years. So I still have some of those in the freezer to make a cherry pie, which I'll have to do. So anyway, we're gonna mix this in a little bit longer. So I will do that off camera, and then we'll add in the egg and the cold water to make the rest of the dough. Okay, let's add, this one whole egg in there, and then we're gonna add little bits of ice water at a time to make a nice dough. We are going to be rolling this out and then fitting it into a cast iron skillet or any oven safe skillet that you have, but cast iron is probably preferred in this recipe. Let me know in the comments if you like to use skillets in the oven for all kinds of cooking, everything from cornbread to pies to casseroles. I think it's a great tool to use. So I'm just using little bits of cold water at a time to make this dough. And then we'll move to rolling it out, and then we're gonna be making the apple filling. Let me know if you love apple pie. I think it's delicious. I'm a huge apple eater. I can't let a day go by without eating an apple, and I love the really tart ones. My son loves apples as well. My husband doesn't really like apples much, so he's probably not gonna be huge on this dessert, but I'm sure he will try it. And yeah. As a kid, we had an apple cider machine, which my dad still has, that my great-grandpa made. So we made a lot of apple cider and had tons of apples and, did lots of things with them. Everything from apple pie filling to apple sauce, to apple cider, I already said pies. Everything you can think of with apples. So let me know if you have an apple tree where you live, or if you love to go apple picking in the fall. We have about 3 apple trees here at home. So I'm gonna start squishing this together. I think this is about right. We don't wanna add way too much water to this. So this is looking like a beautiful dough. We're gonna stop there, get that together, and start rolling it out next. So here is our pie crust. I kind of made it into a round shape here. And I have flour sprinkled on my rubber mat here. And we're supposed to roll it fairly thin, as close as we can get to 1/4 inch. And I wanted to show you my skillet here. I put some pan spray in here because I really don't like sticking things. if we can help it. So I usually kind of put some extra insurance there to make sure it doesn't stick. So I love to use a French rolling pin, something very, very simple. What's your preferred rolling pin? Do you like a marble one? Do you like a thicker wooden one? Do you even use a rolling pin? Let me know in the comments down below what you think of that. This over time has just become my favorite. It's a nice simple one, easy to find. So it's basically the one I use, except for my Lefse rolling pin for the Norwegian flatbread, but I only usually make that once a year, so those stay in the drawer. Okay, I'm going to make this as thin as I can, and we'll be back in just a moment to fit it in the pan. Okay, I've got the crust nice and thin, and I wanted to roll it out as big as I could because we are going to be kind of, I think this style of pie is almost like a galette where you want to fold over the dough on the inside. So we want a lot of overhang here. So we're not cutting the overhang right now, if that makes sense. Okay. So we want to kind of use our fingers to fit it in the pan as best we can. And then we're gonna set this aside. And I think I'm just gonna leave it on the mat and kind of scooch it over, and then we're gonna get ready to make our filling. So I'll see you in a moment. We're gonna get going on the filling. Really quickly, I'm gonna show you how I like to prepare apples for pies. So I have 3 large apples here for the recipe. I really prefer Granny Smith for pies because they hold up really well. So I'm going to quarter this apple. So we're gonna have 4 quarters here. And this is already peeled, of course. So I like to cut off this bottom part and this top part and this middle part with the seeds. Get all of that out of there and make sure that this kind of seed middle part is out of there. And then I like to make as thin of slices as I can with the knife. I'm not a big fan of mandolins. They seem a little scary to me, but this is about how we want it. And then I have some lemon water in here to make sure that the slices don't brown. And then I'm gonna drain them off before we start making the filling, and I can still use this same bowl. So I'm gonna finish cutting all these apples off camera, but we'll be back with all the yummy filling ingredients. Alrighty, so let's make our apple pie filling. And we have our oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, all ready to go. And so what we're gonna do is, to the apples, we're gonna add half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Let me get the rest of that in there. It stuck a little bit. That looks so good. And then it calls for either chopped pecans or almonds. I'm not a huge fan of those nuts in a pie, so I'm personally not gonna add that. However, if you would like to try that, please feel free, and I'll leave it in the recipe in the description down below. But the next thing is we have, first, before this, a 1/4 cup of raisins. I chose to use these golden raisins. They're gonna add a lot of sweetness because there's no granulated sugar in this recipe except for a little bit in the crust. So I find that quite interesting. So I thought, well, golden raisins sounds fun. And then the original calls for white wine. I usually don't well, I'm not much of a drinker and I don't usually have white wine around. So this is apple cider. There's 4 tablespoons of this, so you can choose either one. And then I have the grated rind of 1 lemon and the juice of half a fresh lemon in here. So let's get that in there. Get that nice and stirred around as best we can. And then let's get our skillet up here with the pie crust. And we're gonna get all these apples in here. And I might use my clean hands to sort of distribute the raisins a little better. We'll see how it works out. But we'll get that kind of situated in here. Yeah, get it scattered about. And that actually looks like a perfect amount of filling to me. And what we are supposed to do is fold the pie crust over. So this is like a galette, except for it's in a skillet. So we want to fold all this over, just kind of rustically. Looks so cute. What do you think? I like this. I haven't done a lot of galettes, but I think they're really pretty and rustic. In just a moment, I'm gonna get my pastry brush and we're gonna kind of finish this up before we get in the oven. So stay tuned in just a moment. Oops, I forgot to dot the apples with this butter. We have 2 tablespoons of butter that's just kind of chopped up. So what I'm gonna do is just sort of lift this up and distribute these as best I can, sort of sprinkle them in there. That's gonna be really delicious. And then we're gonna get our pie all ready to put in the oven, add some kind of finishing decorative touches here. So I have some half and half. You can use cream, you can use melted butter, even a beaten egg with maybe a little water added, anything you want to sort of brush the crust so that it gets nice and golden brown in there. And what we're gonna be doing is baking this for 15 minutes at the higher temperature, and then we're gonna lower it down. So after 15 minutes, we'll reduce the heat to 375 and then cook it for about 30 more minutes. So that looks nice. Now, even though it doesn't call for it, I want a little sparkle of sugar on the crust, just a tiny. And you could add also a turbinado sugar or something like that if you want, but this is just my little personal sprinkle that I like. So this looks really, really cool. I can't wait to see how it comes out of the oven. So let's get it in there for 15 minutes at 450 to start. Wow, this pie looks really fabulous. It just came out of the oven, so it's still bubbling, as you can see. It is so beautiful. So check it out. We're getting ready to make our skillet corn pones, which are kind of like little mini crispy corn pancakes that are a side dish to go with the soups and salads and all kinds of things like that. They're a really easy and delicious addition to a meal in Kentucky. So we have a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour in here, and we're supposed to mix all the dry ingredients first except for the cornmeal and then add that in a moment. So we have some baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons, and I'll have all the recipes down below in the description. We have some kosher salt, 1/4 teaspoon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So we want to get that mixed up. How many of you love cornbread or any kind of corn item. I just absolutely love everything with corn. Tamales, tortillas, tacos, corn on the cob, cornbread, corn everything. I love that. So let's get this mixed up. Yeah, let me know in the comments what your favorite corn item is and if you make it as a side dish very often. So we're gonna get this really incorporated here. It's awesome. Okay. So now that that's nice and mixed together, we're gonna add in our buttermilk. So just half a cup of buttermilk, and slowly add that in. So note that there's no eggs or anything in this. So it's a nice, simple recipe that you can whip up really quick. And I'm gonna show you how to make these on the stove in just a moment. And they're gonna taste so good with our gumbo tonight that we'll be having with the family. So stick around for the table setting, the look at the recipe book from 1949, and also, last but not least, the family tasting, which is the best part. So you can see it makes a lovely batter. Take a look at that. Beautiful, all golden. So I'm gonna take this over to the stove and get my skillet ready, and I'll meet you over there. On a side, I forgot to put the sugar in. So 1 teaspoon of sugar, and I think it's okay if I mix that in real quick. So just a side note, I forgot something. I'll meet you at the stove. So we are here at the stove, and we have our skillet with about a tablespoon of butter in it heating up. And I'm gonna start to work on cooking the corn pones. So it suggests 1 tablespoon more or less per pone. And it says to cook about 4 at a time. I'm gonna be testing to see if they're done on the inside as it suggests in just a moment. So I think it's about 2.5 to 3 minutes per side. I think that's correct, but we're gonna test this out. So we got 4 going here. Some are, well, there are all sort of varying sizes, but that's okay. So right to not be perfect with the sizes, but we'll try to make it work. And we might be turning the temperature up and down depending on how hot this pan gets. It's a little more trickier on the stove to control the temperature, but this is the way they would have cooked them. I don't know if they had electric skillets back then, but that's a tool you could use that I often use because you can control the temperature really well on that. You can set it for a certain temperature, so it's great for pancakes and stuff. So let me know how you like to cook your pancakes or skillet items like this. I would love to know in the comments down below. So, ooh, these are looking good. They're like little mini corn pancakes. Ooh, so cute. So I think they're just about ready to flip. They're supposed to be, ooh, that's really beautiful. Supposed to be really crispy. So let's take a look. Lovely. Okay, in just a moment I'm going to test one of these, but I will cook these a little bit off camera, and I'll be right back to show you one that I think is about done. So we have our corn pones here. I'm going to cut this thick one in half and see if it's done in the middle or not. And that looks about right. So I think we're on the right track here. I turned the heat down a bit. I'm gonna add a little more butter, finish cooking these, and I will be back for our table setting and looking at the book and yummy tasting of this delicious food. So these are our corn pones. They're gonna be delicious with the gumbo. Some of them are a little overdone, as you can see, but it's really hard to control the skillet temperature. It seems like the first ones are so pretty, and then pretty impossible not to burn them a little bit. But that's okay. They're nice and crispy on the outside the way they're supposed to be, and I'll be heating them up a little bit when we have our dinner and our tasting. So let's go set the table. So before we look at the cookbook real quick and do the family tasting, I wanted to show you this beautiful tablescape. I decided to go with the lace tablecloth and this pretty embroidered linen in the middle. It's very antique and hand done. I just love that piece. It's very old, as you can see, but so pretty. And I only have 3 soup spoons, so I'm excited to use those. So let's take a look at this Kentucky cookbook, and then we'll enjoy our dinner and do a tasting. We're here to try the 1949 dinner. So let's check it out. We've got some chicken gumbo from Alabama and some corn pone from Kentucky. So let's give it a taste, and then we'll be trying the pie for dessert in a tiny bit. Let's see how it is.
The gumbo is delicious. Let me try one of these things.
Yum.
It's pretty good.
What's your opinion on the flavor? I think it has a nice depth of flavor.
Honestly, I would take it a little spicier.
Yeah, I didn't add the pepper. So
like it has chili pepper in it, or
no
black
chili
pepper?
Just black pepper and green pepper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take black pepper in it. I think that actually would.
There is black pepper, but not that much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I agree, like maybe put a little Cajun seasoning on top.
Yeah, I take a little.
Spice.
I take a little more heat in it.
Yeah.
But it's good.
That's good flavor, just needs a little spice.
These corn things are quite tasty.
Oh, thank you. I have to put some butter on this. Ooh, looks good with the butter.
It's
That's
great
really
when you
nice.
dip it in the gumbo.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure that's a good idea. 'Cause that, you're right, because that when I took a bite, my first thought was it's like a hush puppy.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah, it's a lot like that. It got a nice crispy outside.
Yep, it's nice dipped because it really does soak up the flavor of what you dip it in.
Oh, totally. Well, now we can get some Cajun seasoning and try it.
Adam approved for the whole dinner. This
Yay.
is fantastic.
Thank you. I loved it too. And then we'll be trying the pie at the very end. All right, we're back for the final part of the meal, the dessert. This apple skillet pie. It has golden raisins and cider. So, and we put a little bit of ice cream on there. Oh, actually, it has a really nice apple flavor. It's not super sweet, but
Yeah,
interesting.
I think I might like my apple pie sweeter.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not
Taste
bad.
a little bit of the crust, though.
Let's see, let me get one of these pieces.
But I'm a huge fan of the crust because it's nice and thick and it's got a lot of layers. I know you're not a big apple pie fan, but
it's very different for sure with the raisins and stuff.
Yeah, I think I like the sweeter variants more.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but I've had better apple pies.
I think if I were to make this again, because I like the concept, but I think just adding sugar in with the
At least in my opinion,
filling,
because other people might like a less sweet pie.
Yeah.
I'm
To
definitely
me, it's
more,
not too bad, but
I definitely lean more on the sweet axis.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's apple pie. I'm not a big
Yeah.
apple pie fan.
I totally get it. Yeah, no worries.
The crust is kind of nice. It's like a biscuit crust.
Yeah, I would totally make the crust again. I
Yeah.
think I would use the same concept of the crust. You could make berry pies or
The raisins
But
are
add
cool,
more.
you know.
yeah, the raisins actually taste good in there. But yeah, a little more sugar in there and probably be perfect apple pie. So enjoy. Thank you guys.